Don't share your screen right now until I ask you to do so.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we are live. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So today is 26th of November. I just came back from my both of my children, they go to GLA, Gibraltar Leadership Academy, right? It's a school over here. They charge around $550 per month. It's a private school. They have increased their fees significantly. Today I got to know, like, it's part of the masjid. It's in a masjid. So next to the masjid, one of the campuses in the masjid. The other one is just opposite the masjid within the same parking lot. They share the same parking lot. Today I was there to see, what the kids are going through, because we are planning to open our school, inshallah. It's a $25 million project, a very huge project for us. So I was there, and I was trying to understand, like, how the school mechanics works, what the teachers are doing, etc., etc. These are young students. Mashallah, Islam is embedded within them. But at the end of the day, what is happening outside in the world, they have no clue. So this is from KG2, class 1, class 2, all the way till 12th grade, right? If you look at the 12th grade students, they have no clue, no visibility. So one of the missions that we have is to, provide direction to the people in the West of what they need to study, how they need to study, and how they can secure, millions of jobs available right now in every sector, right? Pretty much every sector is getting influenced by AI. So today we have Osama Anwer. He lives in Saudi Arabia. He has been there since when? Since for a very long time, right?
Yeah, almost 38 years.
How many? 30 years?
38.
38 years. So you have been in the Saudi
Yeah.
for 38, like, no, you alone.
Yeah, me. Actually, I was 3 months old when I came here in Saudi Arabia.
38 years. Okay. All right. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
So that's another testament. So when I say, no matter if you live in Saudi for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, you are one of those who have lived in Saudi Arabia for 40 years.
Yeah, actually, that's a third generation. It's living here.
It's a third generation. So your father had you and you had the
Yeah,
kids,
yes.
right? So your father was the first gen, you were the second gen, and then the third gen, right? And your kids, mashallah. It's amazing. Like, so how are things in Saudi Arabia? Like, when it happens to, for all the expats living there?
They are
So
the
when I
same.
say, like,
If
it
you
doesn't matter how many years you live there, you will never become a
Yeah,
citizen. It's true, right?
no. If you landed today here in Saudi Arabia, you and me are the same.
So no matter how long you stay there, like, you will still be standing at ground zero.
Yes, that's the reality.
It's a very harsh reality. It's a very harsh reality. Like, even if you live illegal, like, even if you have no status, right, in Europe or in UK or anywhere, you will have a status in the next 10, 15 years. Because automatically, the British government and the European governments, they make you legal after a specific amount of time, 10, 12 something years. They had to do it because on the grounds of the humanity, right? Humanitarian grounds. It's strange that nothing like that exists in Saudi Arabia or in any of these GCC countries. Yet we have so many expats living there,
Yeah, in fact, any of the Muslim countries.
or any of the Muslim, like, if you go to Indonesia, Malaysia, even you can have a status there after
Mm,
after a long time.
After a long time, you can say, but they don't favorably allow you to give nationality like after 5 years or 7 years. You have to spend a lot of time there.
On the contrary, in the West, it's a different story.
Yeah, it's completely.
One of the things we have to realize, and we have to be thankful, that in the Western civilizations, they still have some speck of humanity there. I mean, apart from the geopolitical, issues, uh, in at large, the people in Europe and the Western countries are good people, right? What happens by these lobbying groups and by these politicians, it's a separate story. But like at large, people in the West are good people, like in the US and the UK, you know, and they have empathy, they have sympathies, and they have their humanity intact, that even if they see something wrong, they can raise their voice and they can help people out, right? Okay, so you have today, your topic is basically, you can start sharing your screen. I'm going to open your
Mhm.
presentation in front of me. So implementing AWS well-architect framework for secure EKS in Saudi Arabian government sector, right? And since you are in
Mhm.
Saudi Arabia, that's why you were given a topic which resonates closer to the Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah,
The Saudis
that's
are investing a lot of money in building up their infrastructure. They're doing a lot of money, investing a lot of money in technology and so on and so forth. So Amazon is opening their own first data center in Saudi Arabia. They're building up large scale data centers because of their data residency and data sovereignty requirements. So anyone who has this experience can command a good salary. Uh, if anyone with AI ops experience, what kind of salary are they commanding in Saudi Arabia? Some.
I believe first of all there is no AI ops person. Yeah, they know artificial intelligence, and they can get with, if I go as low as possible, around 25 to 20 30
The
per
high
month.
range, you have seen people like who have a sliver of these experiences or whatever,
Yes,
they command a very
yes.
high salary, right? 40,
Yeah, if
50,000
they are
riyal.
popular, yes. If they are like they did something, especially in research area, that's the category where they got the nationality. They are the people. One of them, it's artificial intelligence expert. If they did something in research area or something like that.
Yes, yes, I know about that because what happens is that if you stop the sharing part, uh, they started giving some people some of those nationalities based on their participation in research, right? The
Mhm.
question I have is that, but that's only a small number of people, like a handful of people, 10, 15, 20, something like that, right? But like in general, if someone comes with a Western premium means they have a Western passport and skills of DevOps, SysOps, AI, GRC, they can command, which is collectively known as an AI, which is collectively known as AI Ops. They can command a very good salary, right? And if
Yeah.
they can command a good salary of like around 25 to 30,000 real, right? This is the lower end.
Yes, lower end, and especially if you don't do, if you are not on the artificial intelligence, forget that part. If you only specialize in
DevOps, SysOps,
Kubernetes,
and stuff like that.
Kubernetes, yeah, especially in Kubernetes, because lots of data center from Amazon, Microsoft, they are here for opening the data centers like here. So they need those kind of people, and they are paying well.
But if you have experience in with AI and all of these things, then you
Oh,
command a much higher premium, right? Now,
then you are God.
this is for those who doesn't have a Western passport. What happens if you have a
Exactly.
Western passport?
Oh, they will. We always say, then if you have Western passport, they will sit you on your in their head.
How do you say that in Arabic?
على رأسي.
Ala rasi, right? So that's what happened. This is the reality, right? This is the unfortunate reality, but uh, I guess like, if people start studying well and they work hard, they can achieve all of these things in a way that inshallah that they will be able to successfully succeed. But then again, no matter how long you stay in the Middle East, there is always a time limit. I mean,
Yeah.
from a status perspective, you'll always be at ground zero. That doesn't change, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So today is your presentation. It's going to be followed by 15 minutes of your uh, presentation, 15 to 20 minutes, you have to present your topic. And then I will follow up with Q&A session, right? I wish you the best, inshallah. Please
Sure.
proceed. You already know the terms and conditions and everything. Your name hasn't been flagged by the AI analysis tool because the AI analysis tool that we have is analyzing the Q&A scores and everything. So that's why you have been brought forward for the presentation. Okay, so please proceed, and I wish you the best. Bismillah.
Okay. Bismillah. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على مبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praises and thanks due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Blessings and salutations upon last and final messenger Muhammad, peace be upon him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless him and his all companions, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless every one of us and grant us goodness. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's presentation. My topic will be implementing AWS well-architectured framework for secure EKS in Saudi Arabian government sector. My name is Osama Anwer, and I will be presenting you through how to leverage AWS well-architectured framework to ensure a secure and efficient deployment of Amazon EKS or Elastic Kubernetes Service. Throughout this presentation, we will explore the technical aspects of EKS, but not only the EKS technical aspect, but also implementation, how it aligns the Saudi Arabian government, the regulation, the regional compliance of this. So the agenda of this presentation will revolves around three major points. The introduction of the framework, the key pillars of well architecture framework, and the strategy. First, I will introduce about what is AWS well architecture framework, emphasizing its critical role building secure or scalable cloud infrastructures. Then we will spend major amount of time on the explaining the key pillars of this framework, and then the last point will be a strategy about how to deploy or for how to secure this EKS deployment. So let's move on our section 1. This is the introduction of the framework. Okay, the objective. So we have three major points: objective, overview, and strategic importance. The primary goal of this presentation is to develop strategic plan for deploying Amazon EKS AWS well architecture framework. This offers a consistent approach evaluating architectures, and it's particularly vital for the government and governmental public sector or projects where compliance, security, and scalability are paramount. Going through the overview, our focus will be on the its application within Saudi Arabian government sector, ensuring the Amazon EKS deployed securely, efficiently, meeting both technical and compliance requirement. Going with the strategic importance, aligning with regional cybersecurity standards, we will go through it as well, and ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements. So this is the introduction of this AWS well architecture. The definition. AWS well architecture framework assists cloud architect to in designing secure, high performance, or resilient infrastructure to their applications. It also offers a collection of best practices, guiding questions to assess or improve their architectural designs. When we come to key pillars, there are 6 key pillars of this one, and that is security, reliability, performance efficiency, cost optimization, operational excellence, sustainability. Each of them we will explain it in our next slide. And for the framework benefits, it also include um, potential, you can say, organizations can identify potential risk in their architecture and make informed decisions to mitigate them, leading the system performance and security. Moving to our section 2, the pillars of architecture. One of the most important, security. Security is the foundation of our cloud architecture, especially when handling sensitive government data. In this sector, where even a minor security lapse can have significant consequences, we can also the importance of strong adaptive security cannot be overstated. Um, like I say, the IAM rules, from where we can start by implementing the IAM rules, which is identity access management. It helps define who has access to within the infrastructure and what within the infrastructure. Uh, if I implement the security as a model, I will start with the zero trust model. The principle of least privileges help reduce exposure and minimize the risk of the internal threats. As I mentioned here as a quote, always authenticate, always authorize, never assume strategy. Also, we have the network policies and encryption. When we go on the network level, we implement the network policies, encryption, and for the data in transit and data at rest is crucial, and it should ensure the integrity and confidentiality of the data. The second pillar is reliability. When we talk about reliability, systems can recover from failures and continue to function without significant disruption. That's called, that's the minimum definition, we can say, it's reliability. For mission critical government application, system downtime or data loss can have serious consequences. If we can implement robust recovery strategies that helps minimize both downtime and risk of data loss, services may remain available to users even if the event of disruption is happen. Uh, Moving forward to failure management, um, identifying potential failure management within the architecture uh, is effective. And these once these failures are identified, its implementation, it can be automated failover mechanism. We can ensure that the failover components fail and it seamlessly switch to backup without affecting availability. And the third point is high availability. High availability is achieved through redundancy and failover solutions. In government applications, uh, which operate around the clock, has high availability and very minimal downtime. Any downtime can lead service outage, which can affect both operation and public trust. So by implementing or by ensuring that the systems are resilient and can handle failures without compromising the availability. Our next pillar is performance efficiency. Resource optimization, one of the key component, and this can impact also the cost optimization as well. Performance efficiency is all about computing resources in the most efficient way possible to meet the system requirements. This involves optimizing how resources are allocated, or ensuring the systems is using right amount of compute power or memory or storage by given any time. And performance efficiency is very critical with scalability. A system damage can grow, fluctuates. We need to have a mechanism that dynamically adjusts the resources. Implementing effective kind of strategies help the infrastructure to automatically scale up during the peak demand or scale down when the usage is low. Um, Third point we can talk about performance efficiency is also as the responsive service delivery is crucial. By optimizing system performance, we can provide fast, reliable services to users, regardless traffic spikes or usage patterns. Moving forward, our uh, next point, next pillar, which is cost optimization. It's very crucial when we talk about cost optimization that what kind of resourcing we are using, and it's very important that we use uh, enable right size of resources are being used efficiently. This involves continuous monitoring and which can prevent you with the over or under provisioning. By selecting correct type of instance or storage capacity, we can differentiate, or we can select between on demand or spot instances while still meeting the performance requirement. uh, in addition to going forward, utilizing the reserved or spot instances, this is what I'm saying, which provide discounted rate at AWS spot instance, which offer even greater savings to workload that can tolerate the interruption. Leveraging these models can help organizations significantly reduce cost without sacrificing the operational efficiency. And monitoring and optimize cost regularly. This is the very um key factor of the cloud environment, that most of the time the organization doesn't focus on uh, the cost of the when it can balloon up, or the cost the organization doesn't know that they keep spending if the right resource, or they don't optimize the cost regularly. The AWS, as I mentioned, they have good tools that you can use, like Cost Explorer or AWS Budget, to monitor the spending and uncover the when they implement these strategies, they have time to optimize their opportunities to set budget alerts and cost analysis, which can help. Next pillar is operational excellence. Operational excellence automation minimize the human error and ensures the operational tasks are executed consistently. Services like Lambda, AWS Lambda, or CloudFormation enables automation to deploy updates or scale, allowing them to focus on the innovation strategies and reduce, instead of, or you can say, instead of doing manual or repetitive tasks. Um, you can achieve this by monitoring the proactively and tracking the system performance, detect anomalies, and respond to issues before they impact the users. Tools like CloudWatch, the famous tool for monitoring, and the alerting system give real-time insights to system performance. This also ensure that when the issues are identified and resolved quickly, provide the smoother and more reliable experience. Uh, when we talk about implementing a feedback or loop continuous improvement, every operational event, such as system failure or deployment, it is very critical to conduct a postmortem or retrospective analyze what went well and what went wrong. They have the feedback management system that essential for continuous improvement, allowing you to refine workflows, reduce the risk, and make operational adjustment for the future. Sustainability. This is our last pillar of the six. Sustainability in cloud computing emphasizes minimizing the long-term environmental, economic, and social impact business activities by ensuring responsible and effective resource utilization. It also, if we best practices include AWS regions aligned with the sustainability goals, optimize resourcing through scaling and removing unused assets, implement data hardware management, or reduce footprint. Automatically lifecycle management for effective resource handling. Uh, Moving back, going to our section 3, strategy for secure EKS deployment. We have already identified, or we have studied about the 6 pillars of AWS well architecture. Uh, when we talk about combining all these pieces together, all we have to make it best practices, and for deploying EKS deployment, our goal is to create robust strategy that not only ensures the security of the Kubernetes cluster, but also align with the operational compliance, regional compliance. I mean to say, like Saudi Arabian government sector. Uh, outlining the specific steps consideration that should be taken when deploying, like Amazon EKS, including the security configurations, and networking, IAM roles, encryption, and monitoring strategies. So we after implementing after the we have understood about the AWS whole architecture. Now, how about if we implement it on governmental scale, especially as my topic states, for the Middle Eastern region, or specifically for Saudi Arabian region. Uh, if I say here, in regional security, NCA, National Cybersecurity Authority, it has very strict regulations. They follow international standard like ISO 27001 framework, um, integrating the regional cybersecurity standards and framework for compliance and security, in especially in the Saudi Arabian government sector. The NCA, the National Cybersecurity Authority, has set strict guidelines to ensure that the security of sensitive information and critical system must be protected. Compliance requirement are mandated by the government. This include the protection of sensitive data, setting up appropriate access controls, and ensuring all these standard organization can avoid penalties and maintain a secure environment. By integrating strategies, um, one have to comply with the regional strategy to deploy the architecture, and deploying strategies to integrate AWS well architecture framework within the regional standards to ensure a cohesive approach. This includes tailoring IAM roles, encryption policies, and network securities to meet a specific need outlined by Saudi regulations. Strategy for deploying, what are the key steps to deploy EKS or AWS well architecture? It's identity and access control, implementing network policies, and configuration of encryption method when that data is at rest, and when the data is at transit. These foundational steps that are that the infrastructure is protected from both internal and external threats from the very beginning. The framework, you can say, deploying strategy, aligning the deployment, the strategy of the AWS well architecture framework is critical. The alignment ensures that all aspect of architecture, including the all the 6 points which we have discussed, are addressed from the start. By following these best practices, we can build a resilient and secure AWS environment or EKS environment that meets the operational needs of Saudi Arabian government sector. Also, ensuring the security and compliance is an ongoing process, which involves continuous monitoring and updating security measures to avoid any threats, vulnerabilities. Also, by updating the policies as needed by the organization. Uh, at last, we have a case study that was um, mentioned by AWS, that two of the companies or two of the organizations uh, burn Burns and McDonald or Cost Automotives. Um, the Burns and McDonald engineering architecture firm and consulting firms, um, they implemented the AWS architecture framework, and by adopting that, what were the benefits? They reduced 50% of the time resolution for cloud misconfiguration, and 30% year-to-year cost reduction. While the Cox Automotive, they also did the same implementation, and they improved their risk reduction by consolidating workloads and practice across 350 engineering teams, and reduce risk, leading improvement uptime and solution quality. So that was from my side. So thank you for listening.
Okay, you can stop the sharing of the screen. It's a very loaded topic. One of the key things, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, so let's jump into that. So one of the key things which are required in all of these projects, that the reason that the Saudi government is pushing these cloud vendors to establish their own facilities locally in Saudi Arabia so that the data doesn't leave physical and logical borders of Saudi Arabia. Why is what do you call that? What is the reason for that?
Data protection. They don't want the actually they are like if I
What do you
go
call
with
that
the
legislation? What do you call that? Not only data protection, yes, but there is a term for that. I
data
mentioned
protection
that when I
policy.
was starting data residency and data sovereignty, right? So this is the
Okay.
reason GDPR came into existence, and many of these local legislation for data protection, like the UK Data Protection Act and all of these things, now they're coming up with their own so that the outside foreign governments cannot ask for the data as it relates to their own citizens or people living
Yes.
in Saudi Arabia, right? So that's data residency and data sovereignty.
Citizens and residents.
Yes, the residency and the sovereignty both, right? Just like the physical sovereignty of the country, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that they have to take into consideration. Uh, what are the other things that they have to take into consideration when designing an architect for the security for the Saudi government? Like from a government perspective, from a Saudi government perspective, what are they looking for?
Uh, um, uh, Frankly speaking, they have lots of trust issues. So
Mm.
whenever they hire a project, they implement a project, they always focus on the higher management should be the natives. They manage everything, although the lower end of the people are like other nationalities, they are working hard, but they report to them, and they don't want as I said, they have trust issues, so they never ever see or visible any data even within the organization, so they are very protected, overprotected on this behavior.
That's true. I mean, one of the reasons that they're doing it is because they don't trust, you know,
Yeah.
uh, trust is not a control. So they need something like that. But at the same time, for the government sector to work, they need to create, you know, an environment of trust and verification to ensure that all the controls that they comply, you know, that the organization is coming up with, the infrastructure and everything, they comply with it, right? Okay. So let me open the the other questions. Can you hear Adan happening at the back?
No.
Oh, okay, that's good. Okay. So this mic is good. Otherwise, it would have been picking up all the sound coming from the background. All right. So this is going to be a series of questions that I'm going to ask you from a Burns and McDonald case study, right? What measurable benefits were achieved by implementing the AWS Well Architect framework?
Um, if you
You can look
say,
at
if
the
you call,
slide. You can look at the slide if you want.
yes, as far as the Barn and McDonald company, they achieved 50% reduction in the meantime time to resolution for the cloud service, which was misconfigured, and 30% year to year over cost reduction.
So,
And for
what kind of misconfigurations were they able to streamline and reduce it? When you say misconfigurations, right?
yeah,
In doing like rolling out the cloud, what kind of misconfigurations are we talking about?
it could be at any level, but as per my experience, if I talk about network level, some ports are open. Some the network policies which should not be exposed, that are exposed. So this could be like on a firewall level access control list. Uh,
The configurations at
they
the
are
level
the
of
configuration
so the configurations at the level of the cloud infrastructure, right?
infrastructure, yeah, on infra level,
So
yes.
so how do you reduce that? You know, what do you call that? Do you manage a template? What do you do to reduce this thing?
To reduce this thing, if suppose as the AWS well architecture mentioned that you have to follow the 6 pillars at the beginning when you are from the beginning when you are deploying the architecture. So for that purpose, you can start with the implementing security policies,
No, no, no. I,
strict
I
security
understand that, but what do you call that thing? You know, like what do you
checklist.
call? No, no. So when you start building up, this is from the configuration perspective, right? How do you
Okay,
reduce this misconfiguration? What do you do? Do you develop what?
scan, sc- uh, risk management strategy, risk management framework,
So
we can
you
say.
develop a template, an infrastructure as a code template. So that template keeps on replicating. And if there
Okay.
are no misconfigurations in the template, then there won't be any misconfigurations being translated into the other thing, right? So pay attention, Osama. Like this is very important for you. Okay, so in the context of the well architect framework, how can it be integrated with the regional cybersecurity standards in Saudi Arabia? How can you do that? There is well architect, there is regional cybersecurity requirements for Saudi Arabia. What do you do with them?
First of all,
You
start
could
with the
comply with
mapping.
both at the same time.
Yeah, start with the mapping, which are the common, you can say, common protocols or common statements which can be mapped. Um, Most of the time, most of the if I talk about Saudi Arabian framework, which is NCA, National Cyber Security Authority, they took they built their own architecture of that framework basis on ISO 27001. So if we implement the only the ISO 27001, that will suffice both regional and international standard as well.
So basically mapping the AWS best practices to regional standards frameworks, creating a unified
Yes,
access control, unified compliance framework, right?
yes.
Which makes the whole process easier. Okay, how does continuous monitoring contribute to securing the Kubernetes deployments in the AWS? How can you do that?
Continuous monitoring. Okay, so when we talk about continuous monitoring, it always revolve around what type of strategies were at infrastructure level, what type of monitoring you are doing, like from the resource monitoring, how many resources you have, how many extra resources uh, is
Okay, let's jump
you
on
can
the
make
other
sure.
one because continuous monitoring, revolves around like through the SIEM and the FIM and all of these things,
Yes,
where you analyze the data continuously to make sure that any kinds of anomalies are detected so that you can take swift response, right?
yeah.
And that helps in terms of securing the EKS deployments, right? Okay, I'm going to jump on. So explain the primary objectives of using the AWS Well Architect framework in the Saudi Arabian government sector.
Um, the primary objective is to deploy secure and efficient AWS clusters by adhering AWS best practices. This also ensures alignment with the regional cybersecurity standards, also the regulatory compliance, uh, and safeguard the sensitive government data to maintain the integrity and the public trust.
Good. What are the key steps in deploying Amazon EKS securely? What key steps you have to perform in line with the AWS Well architecture?
There are key steps which could
In your
be
presentation, you showed me the things in the presentation.
sorry.
Look at your presentation, you showed it to me. So there are
Yeah,
some
yeah.
key steps in deploying the
Key steps,
EKS.
which is configuring IAM roles, implementing network policies, set up encryptions, and aligning. These are the things which can align with the well architecture framework.
Okay, good, good. So this is an easy one. List all the 6 key pillars of the AWS Well Architect framework in a layman's term to me, when I don't know anything about AWS Well Architect. And you're explaining it to me for the first time. What benefits will I get if I implement this thing?
Um,
Imagine I don't know anything.
that's hard to explain, Ali.
So
That's
it's
hard to
very easy.
explain,
It's
Ali.
very easy. Like
Yeah.
I'm just a normal guy who wants to do a business, but I don't know. I've heard about
Okay.
AWS,
Okay.
Azure, and
Okay.
all these,
I'll.
but I have no clue
Okay.
about Well Architect. What is Well Architect framework? What is this? What are you talking about? So explain to me. Imagine I'm one of those boss that you will find in some of these Asian countries where he doesn't know, anything jack about
Yes.
anything, but he pretends to be the boss, right? So what happens? How do you explain it to
Okay.
me?
Okay. So
I'm a
starting with the
brilliant guy, by the way.
So,
Yes.
so starting with the security, you can protect information systems, through risk assessment and mitigation strategies. For reliability, you can the workload perform correctly or consistently, um, and you can recover from the failure. That's the reliability. Or if I talk about performance efficiency, IT and
Like
computing
you
resources.
have to explain like this. The 6 pillars are, if I'm looking at a presentation, reliability, performance, efficiency, cost optimization, operational excellence, sustainability. But to explain to you like in a smart, in a smaller detail, spend less money, make more money. That's how you'd explain it to me, right?
Okay.
Right? Okay, I'm gonna give you half a point for that, but like, because you failed to explain it to me in that terminology. Okay, how does the framework mitigate potential risks in a cloud architecture? This well-architected framework is a very big. It's a very excellent piece of document that they have created. So what does it do to reduce the risk?
Sorry, I didn't hear you properly.
So how does the framework, the well-architected framework, mitigate potential risks in the cloud architecture?
You can use the set of best practices to identify architectural risk. Organizations can implement mitigation to improve performance, security, and cost efficiency.
Okay.
And if you talk about best practices, that can be at any level, the infrastructure level and the cluster level and
So
security
what,
level even.
okay. So what best practices contribute to a sustainable cloud operation? If I have to
Um,
create a sustainability in the cloud operation, what do I need to do? What kind of sustainable best practices can I create? Like,
can I see my
yeah, you can. Like to give you an example, in EKS, horizontal scaling, vertical scaling, all of these kinds of
yeah?
things.
What was the question? I forgot. Sorry.
So the question is like, if I have to create a sustainability in the cloud operations, what best practices should I follow?
Uh, from scaling or sustainability point of view, you can start with the, as you said, the um, um, horizontal pod scaling and vertical pod scaling, and that's the one of the point. And the second is you can start with the uh, how much fast you can recover from a failure.
So
Uh,
essentially, what I need to do is like I need to shut down all the unused machines or containers, scaling based on demands.
no,
Utilize
you can
a
use
combination of spot and on demand
an
and
on demand. Yes,
architecture, right?
yes,
That's how I
that's
can create sustainability. Okay.
sustainability.
All right. So what is the importance of the feedback loop in the operational excellence? Why do we need the feedback?
Mm, to improve ourselves, in a nutshell, to improve ourselves, such as after incidents, there are teams that identify the improvement areas where we can improve ourselves or reduce the risk, uh, or enhance the workflow for the future operation, that they don't next on the next incident they do much better.
There's a terminology in the marketing game, we call it, right? It starts with N
In
and it ends with S. What do you call it?
Related to feedback,
Yes,
net promoter score, NPS.
Net Promoter Score, NPS. This
Yeah,
is how we measure
NPS.
the,
Yes.
the feedback loop, such as retrospectives after incidents, allow teams to identify improvements, get the feedback from the customers, internal customers, external facing, internal facing, from the senior management, all of these things. So NPS is the most important thing in achieving operational excellence. Be that as it may, for cloud services, for anything that you do in this consumer industry, right? So if your business services are consumed by consumers, they are utilized by
Mhm.
consumers, then that's how you measure yourself, how good you are. Okay. So how does automation enhances operational excellence in AWS deployment? What is the benefits of automation? Everyone talks about it. What is it? What
Uh, the
on the table?
basic, the yeah, the basic, I can say the definition is reduces human error that ensures consistency and in operational tasks. And That's the definition. If I talk about AWS, in AWS architecture, you can use the tool AWS Lambda and CloudFormation to automate the deployments, updates, and scaling it.
Okay, good. So how do you manage EKS? I mean, why do you need two regions and an EKS management? I mean, why do we need it? What is the reason behind it?
Re if I say, like, if you are global entity, and on one answer could be to reduce the latency in technical terms, but it aligns the like aligned with renewable energy or minimal environment impact can reduce the carbon footprint. That's the possible answer I have
Well, you need this,
in cloud operations.
you need the multiple regions for business continuity and disaster recovery purposes. That's what you need it for. Okay. Okay. So if you have to analyze how the cost optimization pillar can be effectively implemented in EKS deployment, what specific strategies would you employ for resources management?
Mm, the resources.
For cost optimization purposes, you have to meet the cost optimization pillar in the AWS well architect. What
Mhm.
strategies would you follow, would you adopt in the EKS?
Start with the start Starting with the assets identification, how many assets I'm deploying, and which will
T-shirt sizing,
uh,
T-shirt sizing,
sorry.
T-shirt sizing, you need this.
Yeah, okay, t-shirts, and with my requirement I can use that. And I can monitor my cost with the tools like Cost Explorer or AWS Budget, and
Right.
monitor the resources as well for the spike or something like that. The infrastructure I can monitor with the CloudWatch, and I can set the budget alerts for a specific purpose, and to identify the to identify to make the cost optimize.
Okay. If you have to compare the approaches to implementing security in EKS between standard enterprise deployments and the Saudi Arabian government sector requirements, what additional considerations that you need to follow? Because Saudi government requirements are slightly different as compared to the standard best practices. What do you have to follow to make sure that it complies with the Saudi government, security requirements?
um, as I said in the one of the answers, I have to map the um regional cybersecurity framework with the international framework, and follow their framework as well to deploy the AWS well architecture framework, which I can also to comply with the NCA as well. Um, you can say, like, as I said, they have a very specific people. Even they don't trust on their people as well. Very specific on that. So the data
So
policy is
basically, you
very
have to
strict
follow
here.
regional compliance requirements. You have to follow the local security standards, government specific security protocols, additional encryption, and access control measures, right?
Exactly.
Obviously, data residency and data sovereignty.
Yes.
If you have to design a comprehensive strategy for implementing operational excellence in the EKS deployment, right, for a critical government resource, like the security agencies or whatnot, what would you take into consideration, making sure that it is really secure? We're talking about Saudi intelligence agency, right? Which is pretty dangerous.
Yes.
Uh, if they don't like you, they can
Yeah.
you'll be in a bag in pieces, right? So,
Yes.
what specific things you have to follow apart from the bag and the pieces protocol?
Yeah, okay. So from the physical security, I would say starting from the physical security, um, if one thing is missing from my side, um, I'm not physically allowed to enter the premises. First of all, that's the thing. The secondly, if you are coming to the architecture area, or how can I do that? Uh, I will first focus on the data integrity part. How would I implement to secure that data as in transit and at rest? How about what the encryption I'm using, and also with the comply with the regional cybersecurity standard. Uh, they have I don't remember DL data, something like that, for the specific
DLP,
name.
data
No, no, no.
DL.
It has artificial intelligence and data policy. Both are the same. Both they combined with this
Well,
framework
they
is
are ahead of
working in
many
there.
people because they already, I think, Saudi Arabia has the first ministry and the first organization in the world which is AIMS certified, Artificial Intelligence Management System. They have implemented
Yes.
that 42,000 standard of ISO, something that we in our company are implementing ourselves. So they have done that, right? Which is
Mm.
amazing. I mean,
Yes.
these guys, they're serious in terms of doing their work. Otherwise, you can be in a body bag. I mean, right? Okay, so if you have to evaluate the trade-offs between performance efficiency and cost optimization in the context of Saudi Arabian government, performance efficiency or cost optimization, what would they prefer to have? This is
Performance
the
efficiency.
context of Saudi government, not American or UK.
Yes. Yes. Performance efficiency. They don't care about cost.
Yes, this is very important. When you're doing a project in Saudi Arabia, they don't care about money,
Yeah.
right? They care about performance, right? Each in the context of the, I mean, I'm talking about in the context of the government sector. They spend so much money wasting, but they don't care. I guess, you know, they may be playing games. They like to play games using VMod. You know, VMod is a cheat manager. So when you play games on computers, you can use VMod to have infinite money, right? So that's how they play. But
Mm.
unfortunately, that is the reality. That's what they do, right? But every country has their own culture, right? Of how they want to do things and what they follow, so on and so forth. Okay. The next is uh, you have to develop a disaster recovery and business continuity for a mission critical EKS deployment in the Saudi Arabian government sector that addresses all the five pillars of the well architect framework. Okay. It should also include technical implementations like failover strategies and compliance validation methods. What should it encompass? Like this whole strategy, what are the key components?
Um, if I talk about the framework, they will go for BCP. They will implement it, and disaster DRP as well,
What do they
disaster recovery
need? What do
planning.
they need? Well, you know,
Sorry,
what do they need? They need
a
detailed
person who can deploy that.
architecture. They need detailed technical architecture, multi-regional failover, basically strategy. What else do they need? Compliance mapping to the regional standards, security controls and validation, cost implication and optimization, all of these things that they are required, right? Okay. Describe the role of the failure management in achieving system reliability.
Um, the failure management. Um, you can say identifying potential failure points. Actually, um
Failure management
the
involves
failure management.
identifying
Okay, okay.
potential failure
The
points.
failure
Yes.
management that involves failure points and implementing failover mechanisms to ensure the system availability during the component failure.
Yes.
I believe that suffice.
What are the critical considerations for high availability in government applications in the context of Saudi Arabian government? Say there are certain key considerations.
You can say backups, automated failover,
System
and
architecture is one.
geographic
System
distribution.
architecture is one. Geographic distribution of resources is second.
This
Then,
resources and automated failover mechanisms
yes, automated failover mechanisms. Good. Okay.
and redundancy.
Redundancy. I mean, you can keep
And
on throwing things in there. Um, how does resource optimization improves performance, efficiency in EKS?
um,
What does it ensure
resource
for performance
optimization
efficiency?
performance. You can the system matches the system requirements, and by doing under or over provisioning of the systems and improve scalability and responsiveness.
So you have a cloud architecture, right? And
Mhm.
you have a VNC server, right? Organization, whenever the government sector wants new servers or new applications, they can log on to that or cloud orchestration tool, just like we have in unlafe.cloud. You click on the server, and the server will, you click on the URL, and the URL will then fetch you a machine, right? Okay. How can the government ensure that they are able to reduce the cost of provisioning those machines? What do they have for cost reduction? Imagine the Saudi government is not, like in the next 10 years, it'll be a very different story.
Yeah.
Their oil money is dwindling. They have the reserves, but no one wants to buy the oil. The US, Trump is here, and his slogan is drill, baby, drill, right? So he's going to drill, he's going to do fracking, drilling, he's going to take out all the things that he needs from within the US and from Canada. They don't have to go anywhere, right? So they consider Saudi Arabia as a, uh, uh, not so friendly state. The Saudis
Mhm.
used to have friendly state status, but not anymore, right? Because of the Gaza war and whatever. The regional geopolitics changes everything, right? So now you have a mandate, you have to reduce the cost. The kafil is saying, you have to reduce the cost, Osama, and I want you to do this. We have to provision the machines at the same time, but reduce the cost. What three things you will take into consideration for provisioning them the machines so that you can reduce the cost?
Number one is I'll focus on the spot instances if
Yes,
I'm
good. Okay,
sponsor other than on demand.
on demand.
I will put the timer. I will put the timer for the provisioning of the machine, and the third is I'll put the cost budget alert for that specific machine
What
is
about reserve instances? You can also buy reserve instances that can further
yes
reduce the cost if the
for
demand
long
is
term
high.
for yes if the demand is high for the long term we can do that.
Okay, good, good. Keep this in mind because the Saudis are about to face the reality.
Yeah.
So I mean, you will see, right? Those days are going away now. They can't play geopolitics by using VMod anymore, and they don't have infinite money supply, right? They had their chance, but now they're losing steam. Okay, so how can reserve and spot instances be utilized effectively in EKS to optimize cost? This is a follow-up question. How can you do that?
You can optimize the
What is
cost
cheaper? What is
for
more cheaper, the spot or the reserve?
reserve. Reserve is more cheaper.
More cheaper.
If for the longer run.
For the longer run, yes, right?
Yes,
And then
for
it's
the
the
longer
spot,
run.
and
Yes,
then the on-demand is the most
on
expensive.
demand is the
The
third
most
one.
expensive,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
So you mentioned like you can use tools, explorers, budgets, all these kinds of things. CloudWatch can track spending, et cetera, right? So the reserve instances will provide cost saving, right? For
and
predictable
for the
workloads, and while spot instances are ideal for interruptible workloads, right? Significantly reducing the cost. Okay. All right. So again, a follow-up question. How AWS tools are essential for cost monitoring and optimization? You mentioned some of these things already. What would you
Mhm.
do?
We can use especially for cost optimization. I'll use Cost Explorer, AWS budget, and for monitoring the cost or the resources, I'll use CloudWatch to tracking the spends, set the alerts, and identify the opportunities for cost optimization.
Provide an example of a scalability strategy for EKS clusters. Uh, Keyword is HPA. What does HPA stand for?
Horizontal pod autoscaler.
Yes. So how do you achieve that?
Adjust the resources based on the workload and efficient strategy
So you can use Kubernetes autoscalers like HPA to dynamically adjust resources based on workload, right?
based on workload. Yes.
That's exactly what we have to do, right? That's exactly what we have to do. Okay. Okay. So what are the benefits of using AWS Well Architect?
Um,
What are
cost
the benefits?
reduction, cost reduction, security,
Okay.
and you can say the six pillars. If I answer in that with the six pillars which we discussed in the presentation, that would be my answer. That like you will be secure, your operation will be excellent, your cost will be optimized, um, your you are sustainable, your for mm, your yeah, your infrastructure is reliable.
Your presentation is over, Osama. Would you like to know your score? In the presentation, you scored. Would you like to know your score? I didn't hear like anything
Yes,
from yes or no. Okay.
yes.
Okay. So in the presentation, you scored 16 out of 25. Okay. In the Q&A session, you scored 20 out of 25. Okay.
Mhm.
The topic is tough. It's very dry. The topic is the topic, right? So we got to live with that. Okay. So you scored 72%. Congratulations for passing the exam. This is a pass, good pass.
Thank you.
You know Arabic, right? You've been there for
Yes.
38 years. I never knew 38 years. 38 years. A long time. So you know very well, right? At the Arabic part.
Yes, Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Perhaps one day, inshallah, you can become an excellent examiner because of the fact that you know Arabic and you have passed this thing. So you can become an excellent examiner of this thing, inshallah. If you choose to accept that,
Inshallah.
and you would like me to be on that part from my side. Okay. So my recommendation to you is, work on the projects and make sure like you follow all the things that you're going through right now. Make sure that these are the things that are implemented in your organization as it relates to the cloud orchestration projects and all of those things. Because at the end of the day, containers is one of the technologies that is revolutionizing everything. And plus infusing the AI in the maintenance, the cost optimization, and all of those things. As part of the customer delight, one of the things you have to implement is to make sure that cost optimization, right, is implemented within the cloud orchestration, but at the same time, the user experience is not impacted. That's another thing, right? Okay. So I wish you the best, inshallah. One of the things I would like you to do is like, since you have completed this thing and you've passed, if you choose to work as an examiner, because you also know Arabic as well, and you have tons of experience in the industry, right? That's one of the things that you can do, and you can potentially work as one of the examiners over here, inshallah, down the line. So we will have a conversation regarding that. But I'm really happy that you have completed, and good to see you. And if you have any questions, this is the time to ask.
Um, Not a serious question, but like, do we have any plan to start here in Middle East?
Yes, yes. There are so many things to do in the Middle East. The Middle Eastern market is pretty big. The Arabs, as they call themselves, the Saudis call themselves the Arabs. Unfortunately, the Emiratis call themselves the Arabs, and everyone Ajam. There's a lot of racism involved in there. There's a lot of nationalism, which is all haram in Islam, but essentially they follow that, because if they would have followed the Islam properly, then they would have implemented the Quran and Sunnah long ago. But that's not the case, right? But yes, one of the things, once we are done, then yes, there's a tremendous market, and we are already working towards there. And one of the things is that anyone, down the line, we have a huge, I would say, opportunity. And there's like in terms of like revolutionizing the whole game as it relates to the cloud management aspects of things, right? I wouldn't be surprised that the Saudi government and the Emirati government, they start building up their own cloud infrastructure, because they have the money to manage these kinds of things by themselves, so that they're not dependent on anyone else. The only caveat is they need the talent. This is where it come in. We can build up the talent pipeline. We can train their people so that they can start building up things by themselves, right? So independence is very important from foreign players. And one of the things that all these governments are doing is basically they do want to develop those kinds of organizations over there, right? It's a huge market. Billions of dollars are spent over there in the IT sector, right? They are revolutionizing themselves in terms of implementing new things. So yes, we are looking into penetrating the market sooner rather than later. I'm only waiting for 6 months before we penetrate that sector. by going through a massive marketing campaign and stuff like that, right? Inshallah. Okay. All right. Jazakallah khair, Osama, for your time.
Yeah,
And if you have any questions, you can always contact me. I will see you next time. Jazakallah khair.
inshallah.
Everyone,
Inshallah.
assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.